Hi, welcome to the ASPCC Committee Representation Training for the ASPCC Fall Online Training. My name is Stephen Arthur, and I'm the Student Leadership Coordinator at the ASPCC Sylvania, and I'm doing this presentation along with Delinda Martin Huggins, the Assistant Coordinator at the ASPCC Rock Creek.
Hi, I'm Delinda, and now we're going to be discussing committees at PCC. At its core, Portland Community College is governed by networks of committees. These range from the student programming boards, which you may serve on now, to the subject area committees, commonly referred to as SACs, that determine the curriculum for your courses. There are even committees that influence the types of food available on campus, what materials are available at campus libraries, and what your graduation ceremony will look like. In fact, almost every aspect of PCC receives input about its operation from a college committee. Committees serve many important functions within the college with respect to governance, collaboration between departments, planning new initiatives, and hiring new members of our organization. One of the inherent benefits of committee engagement is that it allows for multiple points of view to be heard on a topic prior to a decision being made. Committees also create a unified goal or vision between its members and the departments they represent, allowing for more focused and successful collaboration towards achieving a goal. There are also some challenges and limitations when working within the committee structure. One notable limitation is that committees often serve in an advisory role and do not have the power to make a final decision on a topic. Another is that due to the low frequency of committee meetings, most are monthly, it can take considerable time for a committee to finalize a recommendation. The most important aspect of representing students on a committee is the access it can provide to college administrators and decision makers. Individual student representatives may not always be able to see the difference their participation makes over the course of the year, but through careful reporting and transition from year to year, a consistent student voice can greatly impact the course of PCC as an institution.
Now we're going to talk about the structure of the committees that you'll be serving on. Committee meetings are facilitated in many different ways and varying levels of formality. Regardless of how rigid or flexible a committee's operating structure is, each must determine how to add topics to the committee's agenda, the rules for discussing a topic, and guidelines for the committee to make final decisions or recommendations on the matter. Robert's Rules of Order, also known as parliamentary procedure, is a very formal procedural structure utilized by many committees. The system has very strict rules about when topics can be introduced, how those topics will be discussed, as well as when and how decisions are made. If you are selected to be a representative on a committee that uses Robert's Rules, then we encourage you to access online tutorials prior to attending the meeting to learn the appropriate terms and procedures. Many committees use a less formal variation of parliamentary procedure and are much less rigid. However, each will usually have a specific time in the meeting for adding topics to the agenda, have an allotted discussion time for topics, and an established decision-making process. Committees make decisions in a number of ways. A committee's decision-making process can be outlined in its constitution or its bylaws, or it can just be a matter of tradition. Majority rule is a common form of decision-making and operates on the premise that each committee member has one vote and decisions are made based upon which proposed action receives the most votes. Once a vote is made, all members of the committee are expected to honor the selected course of action, even if they did not vote in favor of it. However, this decision can be contested and potentially overturned in a future committee meeting. Consensus is another common decision-making process utilized by committees. Consensus decision-making requires that all members of the committee agree with a particular course of action. This form of decision-making generally takes more time to come to agreement. However, it is more likely that the decision will not be contested in a future meeting.
There are several ways to participate in a meeting. Each member role has specific responsibilities. The committee chair facilitates the meeting by creating the agenda, facilitating discussion, and is responsible for the climate of the committee meeting. The chair keeps the committee on topic, calls members to speak, and is responsible for the voting process. The minutes recorder chronicles the business and decisions made at the meeting. Minutes recorders may send the minutes to the committee chair for distribution, send the meeting minutes to the individual committee members, and/or post the minutes on a PCC website. Members at large, or committee members, should attend meetings regularly, review the agenda and minutes before arriving at the meeting, and bring relevant materials to successfully participate. Remember, pay attention to other committee reports. When attending committees, represent your department, your campus, and the student population. Speak up appropriately in the meetings to share that viewpoint. Communicate pertinent information to your colleagues and gather concerns and feedbacks from them.
Now that you know the different parts of the committee, how it operates, and the members that are involved, we're going to discuss the types of committees you'll encounter at Portland Community College. Committees at PCC are plentiful and unique. However, they all share some characteristics with each other, specifically with regards to their function, their duration, and their composition. As mentioned before, most committees at PCC serve in an advisory capacity, where the committee makes a recommendation that is taken into consideration by PCC administrators or the PCC Board of Directors when making a decision. However, there are some committees that are empowered to make decisions about their own course of action. An example of this type of committee is the Programming Board for the District Student Council. This committee decides how to spend the district student programming budget, as well as determine what activities will take place during the year. The function of a committee can also relate to its duration. For example, committees that are formed to address a specific subject are usually referred to as task forces. Task forces have a specific mission, such as creating a report or recommendation about a topic or a particular course of action. Once that mission is completed, the task force is dissolved. Some examples of task forces at PCC include the Tobacco-Free PCC Task Force and the Gender Inclusive Spaces Task Force. Hiring committees and screening committees are another example of temporary committees that disband once they have completed their objective. Committees that function in the same way from year to year are referred to as standing committees. These committees discuss topics of a specific nature and provide input on issues, policies, or practices as they arise or when it is time for them to be reviewed. Committees that are composed of representatives from only one campus are called campus committees. These committees are formed to address campus-specific issues or topics that may or may not exist at each campus. Examples of campus committees include diversity councils, safety committees, or program-specific task forces such as the Sylvania Queer Resource Center Task Force. District committees discuss and make recommendations on issues and policies that impact the college as a whole. District committees discuss and make recommendations on issues and policies that impact the college as a whole and can be either standing committees or task forces. Depending upon their size, some district committees will have up to 4 student representatives, 1 per campus. When less than 4 student positions are available, then student representatives are selected by the district student council. Most district committees rotate their meeting location from campus to campus. However, some of them meet in non-campus locations such as the PCC Downtown Center or the PCC Climb Center. Examples of district committees include the Educational Advisory Council, the District Student Council, and the Gender Inclusive Spaces Task Force. Some committees are so large or handle such a variety of topics that they have standing subcommittees. Subcommittees are most commonly used by large district committees and are different than task forces because they continue from year to year. Subcommittees are usually composed of some members of the original committee, as well as other representatives or specialists who are not. The Educational Advisory Council, also known as the EAC, is an example of a district committee that effectively utilizes subcommittees. The EAC has 5 subcommittees that meet independently and report back to it. These are the Academic Policies and Standards Committee, the Curriculum Committee, the Degrees and Certificates Committee, the Student Development Committee, and the Membership Committee. The District Student Council, also known as the DSC, is another example of a district committee that often utilizes subcommittees. The DSC Budget Committee and the District Clubs Council are both subcommittees of the DSC.
The District Clubs Council, also known as the DSC, is another example of a district committee that often utilizes subcommittees. The DSC Budget Committee and the District Clubs Council are both subcommittees of the DSC. Student committee participation is outlined in the PCC Academic Standards and Policies Handbook. Section S705, Student Membership on College Committees, asserts a student's right to participate. Please take a moment to read the S705 policy. Pay special attention to the bold sentence in the third paragraph. S705 provides student leadership with a voice via committee participation regarding many important decisions college-wide. This policy is currently under review and has received feedback from the District Student Council.
In addition to committee participation, the committee representatives have a responsibility to their student leadership team and to students at large. In addition to committee participation, the committee representative has a responsibility to their student leadership team and to students at large. Representatives need to report committee information to their ASPCC, facilitate group discussion, gather information, and report any decisions or concerns back to their original committee. When reporting back to your team, make sure to discuss the topic, its key points, and the actions that you are required to take. The action you're required to take may include giving information to your team, distributing documents, considering the topic without making a decision, approving or disapproving of a potential action, recommending an action, or endorsing a decision that has already been made by the committee. The information you report back can be summarized by what, who, when, and how. What refers to the topics of discussion at the committee meeting. Present key points or topics from the meeting and include pertinent information. A complete reading of the meeting minutes is not necessary, but you will want to make sure your team is aware of topics and changes that occur. As an example, assume PCC wants to implement a policy regarding chewing gum on campus. You would report the proposed policy to your campus student leadership team. Who refers to sharing and discussing the topic and who it will affect, especially regarding students. Changes in policies may impact the entire student body, and the team discussion should reflect this concern. For our example, a gum chewing policy will affect the current students and faculty and staff who chew gum. The proposed policy may also affect those who don't chew gum, as this would eliminate the gum glob litter in PCC parking lots, under desks, and in the grass. It is important for your team to consider all sides of a topic and how the policy or topic will affect students as a whole. It is important to get student feedback regarding possible policy changes. Forums and surveys are methods to provide information to students and gain their feedback. When? You will want to discuss a proposed timeline with your team if there is one. For example, if the college instituted a policy banning chewing gum on campus, you would provide your team with the proposed timeline for the decision-making progress and the deadline for final input. If the policy is approved at the committee, you would want to provide your team with the implementation timeline. How? How refers to how new policies or procedures will be implemented. For example, advertising regarding the new no gum chewing policy will start on September 1st. ASPCC students are asked to host the No Gum Chewing Barbecue to promote the new policy. Counseling services and preventative pamphlets will also be distributed from September 1st through December 1st, and the actual no gum chewing policy will be implemented on December 23rd. Public safety will issue citations for chewing gum on campus after that date, and students may be referred to the Dean of Students, or a possible suspension may occur. Now that your team is fully informed about the topic, it is time to facilitate group discussion. When providing information to your team, you are now the meeting facilitator. To successfully facilitate group brainstorming with regards to the pros and cons of a topic, make sure all sides are heard and everyone who has new information has a chance to speak. Discussion is not a vote, and the goal is to generate as many ideas, both pro and con, as possible without fixating on any one particular idea. Finally, the feedback that you gather from your leadership team and from students at large will be brought back to your committee. Utilize your notes or meeting minutes from your team meeting and information gathered through surveys or forums to report the factors that were key in the decision-making process and what the actual decision of these teams or students were. While there may be opposing views amongst the committee members, do not be swayed when representing your campus group's decision. Remember, committee members speak for the group and not for themselves.
That completes our overview of committees at PCC and your responsibilities as a committee representative. You will have an opportunity to learn more and hone your skills at the upcoming ASPCC Committee Day. We look forward to seeing you there.